What is going on to all my Severance fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot here. I know I'm late to the party, but I heard there were waffles involved, so I have arrived, and I'm so excited to break down this 8th episode of Severance, which was titled What's for Dinner, an episode in which we see Helly and Mark growing closer, which I have some thoughts about that. We see what Irving does on his outside time, and yeah, it's pretty easy to see why Dylan would get excited about the waffle party. I'm so excited to break down this episode with you all here in this spoiler review. Before we get into it, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. As you all can see on the screen now, if you enjoyed this review, well, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let's get this up to 200 plus likes, and also share the review to anyone and everyone you know that loves this show just as much as we do. But more importantly, after you've seen this 8th episode, let's talk about it in the comments. Pros, cons, thoughts, theories, predictions for next week's finale. I have some really big theories that I'm excited to share with you all, but let me know your impressions of this episode and what you hope to see next week in the comments below. So just I said I was late to the party. If you all don't know, I did do a episode 1 through 7 review, which you can check out on the channel to get kind of my thoughts on the first 7 episodes. But just to summarize it, I love this show. I'm so glad I'm watching with you all. I'm so excited to just explore these characters with you all in this video, and I might have another like a theory video that I might release, but I'm just so in love with the show. I love the acting, I love the story, I love the narrative. This is a fantastic show, and I have some thoughts about this episode. But first impressions, I thought it was fantastic. I think it's a great setup for the next week's finale, which I hope will stick the landing. I loved it. Let me know your first impressions of this episode in the comments below. So you all ready to break it down? Let's get into it. Full spoilers ahead. So I said it in that review that I dropped a couple days ago. We got Mark Outie. We know what Mark is like and his life is like outside of work. We got a little bit of Dylan's outside life. He has a son, but I was like, hey, I want to know what Helly does, and I want to know what Irving does. Well, my prayers were answered as we open up the episode with Irving, and he has a dog, has, a nice little setup, but there's one thing off about Irving. He is obsessed with painting this black elevator, which we'll talk about with Miss Casey a little bit later in that connection, but now it kind of explains the black paint, the black goo. Is his Outie, is in his innie, are they starting to overlap their memory? Is the chip really work? We're going to talk about that later, but I'm like, this is very intriguing, and we're going to get to it. Has Irving seen the testing floor? Has he been down to the testing floor? Let's talk about that in the comments, but it's time to go to work as our crew has arrived and the quarterly numbers, the pressure's on. Helly has some catching up to do, and my thing was, okay, what happens when you don't hit the numbers? Or do you go down to the break room, under the break room? You don't know with this company. The board is some sadistics in the individuals so far. It even cuts Harmony and Milchick as they're concerned. And again, I'm like, if they're concerned, there must be some serious punishment if you don't hit the numbers. And they're like, let's prep for, they're going to hit it. She's going to hit her numbers. But it's interesting in this moment here. We hear Harmony say to Milchick, let's have one more wellness session for Mark. And even Milchick's like, is that a good idea? And in my mind, I'm thinking he's concerned that Mark's going to slowly but surely realize that this is Gemma. And you can even see that as the episode's just kind of recollecting my mind. And when you saw Mark and Gemma interacting, there seemed to be this like internal care that he had for her, just like naturally care for her. So again, going back to what I said about Irving, are their feelings starting to overlap? And when certain things occur, you start to, get your memory back and start to recognize things. That's what I'm starting to think now. And that chip, there's some deficiencies in that chip, I think. And I think we're going to get that by next week's finale. But the mission has been accomplished. We can all breathe now. Helly hits her numbers. But this is a very interesting moment. We see this kind of animated Eagan appear on the screen. And the words, remember these words, I love you and thank you. I'm going to get to that comment there a little bit later, but also Eagan, this 100% God complex and just how everyone perceives him as a God. But I have a thought about Helly and that message. I don't know if that's a message that everyone gets. I think that's a very personalized message, and I'm going to get to my theory on that, so stick around in this video to hear my thoughts on that connection there. But the mission to burn it down to the ground is still afoot as we cut to Harmony for the first time, having a laugh. Like, I can't think, obviously we've seen her outside laughing with Mark, but we've never seen Harmony so chill, so calm, and just having a good time, laughing with Mark. And he picks Dylan to have the waffle party, which I'm excited to talk about that scene with you all. But she tells him that Grinder retired, which we all know that he died. So lies, 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 as we know with Harmony. But in with Mark's wellness. And this is a really interesting scene because it didn't dawn on me until Mark asked the question to Miss Casey, aka Gemma, his wife, who thinks is dead, where's the tree? And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, that is so it's either super dark because the Lumen put that tree in her office because that's how she died, car accident, and the tree was how she died. So I'm like, that is very sick. Or that's Miss Casey, Gemma, her memory and one of her things that she could remember was a tree. So maybe she wanted to put that tree in there. And obviously we know the tree is connected to Mark when he molded that tree with the clay. So I'm like, either A, it's super sadistic and messed up that they put a tree in her office to, like, I don't know, have it like a totem for her, or it's B, she kind of, her, consciousness somewhere out there, her memories wanted her to have that tree in her office. Let me know what you all thought about the tree and the significance of that tree, who put that tree there. But getting into the conversation, we learned that Miss Casey, unfortunately, is retiring, aka she got fired. She just found this out moments ago, and I love this moment here, and it hits differently now when we see Mark and Miss Casey on the screen, because we obviously know that was his wife, and I feel a way about Mark and Harmony, which we'll talk about, or Mark and Helly a little bit later. But I really feel bad for them, because I just think in my head, if someone I love lost a loved one and I don't know that I'm interacting with them, without knowing, it just hits differently. Let me know how you all feel on that emotional beat there. But Miss Casey tells Mark that 8 hours that she spent in the apartment with Mark was some of the best moments she has. And that was the longest she was awake, because she tells us in this scene that she's only been up her life for 107 hours. That is interesting, because it sounds like she's a robot. If she's only been around, she's only been born, she's only been alive for 107 hours, what are they doing to her? And how is she a clone? Is she a robot? Let's talk about that in the comments. But why do you care about what happens to me? She asks Mark, and he tells her, nobody gets to turn you off because we are people. As Harmony watches this, and she seems to take pleasure in this conversation. I'm going to talk about Harmony, Gemma, and Mark a little bit later, so keep an eye on that. But getting back into the discussion, as Milchick tells Harmony, it is a win because the chips work, because they don't remember each other. And she says to him, take her back to the testing floor. And let's talk about the testing floor here, as she walks in and she is curious and asks a question to Milchick, am I happy outside? And he just says, oh, I have plenty of work to do. Just, go ahead and go about your business. She turns around and sheds a tear. I feel so bad for her. Again, I don't want to miss the fact that this is the same elevator, the same setting that Irving has drawn every day. It's this routine that we saw in the very first scene. So what is the connection there? Has Irving been on the testing ground? Is Irving a test subject? Was he in that department at some point? How does he know that that's the exact replica of where Gemma's going down to? Let me know your thoughts in there. But I love this juxtaposition. And when we go from that dark, almost hellish, like she's going down to hell, we pose that to Mark coming out of the doors. White, heaven, again, hell, heaven. I love the duality and the kind of the conversation and the deeper meanings in this show that it has to offer, the God complex that Eagan has. So many deeper things within this show. But cutting back into it, Milchick arrives with the pre-game gift for Dylan, which, remember the last time Milchick visited this department, he was bitten in the arm. But very interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong, we never see Dylan's gift. Even when he's at the Waffle party later, what's in that box? What is the significant thing that we would think Dylan would have? Did you come up with the gift prior to him winning the Waffle? And if it's so, I wonder if it's like a picture of his son or if it's something else. Let me know what you all think was the gift that Dylan got. I think personally he had them give him a picture of his son, but I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts there. But ain't no party like a Lumen party, as they are raging. It's lit. They're celebrating, hitting quarterly. And again, whenever this show has a partying scene, I'm here for it. It reminds me of Pulp Fiction. It reminds me of Ex Machina. It's just it throws you off kilt when you have such a serious show and there's the mystery and then they get the dancing and stuff. I just love when the show throws in comedy. It's placed perfectly within this show. But very big moment here as we transition to Natalie confronting Harmony about what happened to Helly in the elevator situation, and she mentions that you've been spending time with Mark, and we see Natalie, there's always been tension between those two. They don't like each other. I don't know why. Maybe we'll learn in the finale, but we see what happens here. Harmony, a devoted employee for Lumen, loses her job, and she is livid about that, which we'll talk about here. But we see that she's like, did the board make this call? Are they even here? And they say yes. Which I wonder who the board, if it's just like one person, if it's like a made-up person. I'm very curious about that particular board member. Is it Eagan himself? I don't know. We're upset about this, and she asked the question, and I asked the question, who did this? Whose call was this? You know, who was it that snitched on her? Was it Milchick? Was it someone else? Was it Helly? We're going to get into that theory a little bit later, but let me know who you all think ratted Harmony out. Let's talk about that in the comments. But cutting back to Irving, who slams the egg, which, by the way, I love that Helly theorizes that he thinks the eggs are made up out of the baby goats. She might be onto something there, but he closes the egg in the Bible, which, again, I love that switch in the character. He was so devoted to the company, but once he had feelings for Bert, once he knew the devious stuff that he believes that this company's doing, he's now wants to burn them to the ground. I love that arc in the character, and John Turturro has been fantastic in the show. But back into it, in Mark and Helly, I'm not gonna lie, as they're talking about caring for each other and they're growing close together, I like it. Normally, I would like this in a show, right? I would like these two characters to be a thing because they've come a long way. Because Helly hated Mark. Remember the first time they met each other, she threw that thing at his head and they just weren't the best of friends. But now they've grown together. But again, my biggest issue, or not issue, but the thing that kind of just makes me uncomfortable about it is like his wife is still alive, as we're assuming. So let me know how you all feel about the Helly Mark situation. Are you enjoying that arc? Are you enjoying those characters together? Or do you feel a little weird because his wife's still alive? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But Milchick learns the news and takes Harmony and walks her out. And the question that I have is, with her gone, who's going to be the new head honcho in charge? Is it going to be Milchick? Is it going to be someone else? Natalie maybe steps in for temporary purposes. Let me know your thoughts there in the comments. But time for Mark's big speech as he quotes Ricken's book. Our job is to take free air, and your so-called boss owns the clock that taunts you from the wall. But my friends, the hours is yours. Let's go. I love that speech, and I love how they implement Ricken, who I just take as a joke. Like, he seems like a good guy, but like he's just like that guy that you just like, okay, Ricken, whatever. But I love that the innies have embraced this novel that Mark has yet to read, which I love that there. But let's find out what's for dinner, kids, as they have the moment here, as we see Helly and Mark officially kiss. And again, I'm like, I would have loved this if we would have never known that Mark and Gemma were married, but they kiss just in case, you know, this is the last time I see you, or in case we see each other again. Again, let me know your thoughts on this relationship. But getting back into it, Dylan, it's your time to shine, my friend. But I don't know if you all noticed, when Mark is walking out of the building, they're changing the sign. It seems to be laying out like this blue carpet. Is Eagan making an appearance? And I'm going to talk about something a little bit later in regards to Helly maybe having this celebration, this party of sorts. Let's talk about that a little bit later. But let me know if you all noticed the blue carpet being laid down and who is arriving to Lumen. Talk about that in the comments. But we see Harmony driving home, and she is beyond pissed as she destroys her shrine of everything and her love for Lumen. But my question is, will she be seeking revenge and maybe help our team out? That's something I'm looking forward to maybe seeing. But back to Dylan finishing his waffles, and it says on the plate, time to go to the founder's bed. And this is beyond creepy, where we see the head of Keeger there. But now it's very easy to see why Dylan previously loved to go to these waffle parties, because it's like an eyes wide shut moment as we get these people coming in, dancing, and they have these masks on. And when I noticed the mask here, we have someone wearing a goat head, a joker, a bride, which makes me wonder to you all, what's the significance of the Joker, the bride? And there was another figure, another head figure, the goat. Is that just like symbols within the workplace? Is it just a coincidence? Which I don't think the show has anything in coincidence. I can't wrap my mind around the significance of those masks. Let me know your theories on that. But Dylan takes that opportunity when they're dancing, which, by the way, shout out to the production team. The dance choreography, the creepiness, the music, it was just a perfect, like I said, eyes wide shut moment. I love that scene. And again, in normal circumstances, that might be something fun to attend. I love a good waffle and I love a good dance. Let me know your thoughts. Would you attend a waffle party? But as we see, Dylan sneaks out, and in cutting this, we see meantime, Mark invites Selvey to a book reading party, which is something that we'll get into here. But let's wrap up the episode as we head back to Irving's place, and he's continues to do that painting. And this is something that we can assume he does this every single day, which again, what is his significance to the testing room, to that black elevator? Cut to Mrs. Selvey apologizing to Mark for what happened earlier and thinking in this moment is big here because Mark is thinking about quitting. And I thought that she was going to be outraged maybe, but she embraced him. She was happy for him. And this is something I want to share with you all. Why is she so interested in Mark? I don't think it's like she loves him or she wants to be with him. Is my big theory. I think that Harmony had something to do with Gemma's death. I think that she was maybe the cause. I'm not saying she directly, like, intentionally killed her, but I think that she was involved in that car accident and she feels guilty, and that's why she wants to bring her back to life. She has Mark going to his wellness program. She's so interested and invested in his well-being because she feels so bad for being the reason why his wife died. That's a big theory I have. Let me know if you all are on the same wavelength as me. Dylan begins the process of waking them up on the outside of the apartment. It aims to it, and the steps take place, and it comes down to the wire. I mean, it is literally, he's trying to reach for the cord and do all that stuff, and it's very intense. I love the build up here, but let's replay the moments when he's doing this. We get a brief scene with Helly outside, and I don't know if it was just me, she seemed to be celebrating. She seemed to be partying, going back to what I mentioned earlier with them changing the sign, the blue carpet being laid out. My big theory is, I know some people think that Helly might be a reporter, she might be an investigator. I think, and I said it in my review when I dropped my first 7-episode review, I think that she is a family member or someone very important to the Lumen industry. She might even be the daughter of the current CEO, James Eagan. And I say that because remember that message that we talked about earlier. Congratulations, Helly. I love you. Thank you. I think, and for me personally, when it comes to that narrative, I can see the idea of like her being a reporter investigating, but to me it would be more of an interesting character arc if she was against the grain, because obviously if she's a reporter, she wants to take down Lumen, but then if Innie wants to take down Lumen, it's kind of two of the same. But I find it more compelling if her outside self is someone that loves and is invested and maybe tied to Lumen, and her inside, or to say her, her person at Lumen doesn't want to be there. So that to me just seems like more of a better conflict. But remember, she was celebrating. I think that she has something to do with Lumen. Let me know your thoughts on that. But getting back into it, in the episode with Dylan getting the job done, and the Innies now might see their Outies. I love the way that they ended that. But I have a couple more little theories, and I might make a separate video diving deeper into these topics. But my big theories that I have for you all here, starting with Irving, we see him in those paintings and the black goo. Maybe, again, I think that he has either seen the elevator, he might know of Miss Casey, he might have something to do with it potentially, or he is someone that is a test subject himself. Let's talk about that. My next one is Mark will come face to face with Harmony once he wakes up, and we're gonna have maybe a big out moment. He's gonna say, wait, why are you, because he obviously knows her as Harmony, he's gonna like, why are you following me? They have the heart to heart. Maybe she tells him why she's so invested, why she's looking after his sister, why she's checking on him, because she was involved with the death of his wife. Let me know your thoughts there. And the last one, like I mentioned, Harmony comes face to face with the Lumen higher ups. And again, if my theory is true, that she wakes up and she sees all these people and she hates Lumen, but then herself outside of work, she's the daughter of James. She is a family member of, the original owner and the original creator. I think that's a very big moment there. So again, I might make a separate video diving deep into those theories, but hey, fantastic episode. I love it so much. I'm so excited to see what next week has up its sleeve. But hey, I have some more thoughts. I have some more theories. Again, I might make a separate video diving deeper into my theories there. But let me know your pros, cons, favorite moments. What were some things that didn't work for you all? Again, it's not that it doesn't work, but I just feel a way about Mark and Helly growing closer together. And is Gemma alive? Is she a clone? Let me know your thoughts there, and any other theories and predictions you all have. Let's talk about it in the comments. If you stuck around to this point in the video, I appreciate every single one of you all. Before you leave, make sure you like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and again, subscribe to the channel. Come and join the community. I appreciate you all so much. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other content. We'll catch you on the next video. We'll be right back.